Okay, today we're going to talk about part two of the breast. As I said, that was part one last time. Now we are part two. Maybe you should actually watch this whole video. Maybe you should actually just do and first video with my homemade crystal bracelet and gold accents and chain. I mean clasp and jump ring. Uh, jump ring video. First time doing it in here, wearing it in a single video. I made it. By the way, let's make this video now. It's gonna be fascinating, gonna be amazing. We're going to talk about the anatomy of the nipple, physiology of the nipple, skin comparison, the nipple conditions, the layer comparison, the anatomy of the areola, anatomy of the mammary glands, physiology of the mammary glands, lactating, translated in hormones, estrogen, targets of estrogen, functions of estrogen, targets of progesterone, functions of progesterone, and lastly, actually, how estrogen develops breast cancer. But anyways, let's do it now. Talk about the anatomy of the nipple. Let's go. Alright, so we're here now talking about the anatomy of the nipple. What does anatomy actually mean? From this word, it means structure, or maybe also, location. Associated with those things, but does not have function. This function actually refers to the word physiology. Okay, not word. Okay, so that's function to physiology, and structure and location should be in anatomy. Oh, sorry. Okay, where's the nipple actually located? Let's see here. Let's just see a cut cross section of the breast. Okay, you can just see here that the nipple is just around the edge, around here, at the center of the lower part of the breast, actually at the center. The center of the four quadrilateral parts, or should be the no man's land of the four quadrilateral spaces. So it should be the no man's land of the four quadrilateral spaces. Okay, if it's the no man's land of the four quadrilateral spaces, is there a hole in it? Of course there is. That's where the duct should come from. Right here. See right here. It will go past through. There's actually a really small hole there. It's not very visible to the naked eye. But the lactiferous ducts will give you foreshadowing of the hole in there. So if you're thinking like, where's the hole? It's in the center of the nipple. Okay, it's really large during lactating and pregnancy, but the most biggest part is usually going to be lactating, because you see, lactating from the word lact, it foreshadows the word duct. What does foreshadowing mean, anyways? Clues. It means clues. It is one of the elements of a story. Extra elements are really in a really good story. Okay, let's say that's the no man's land of the four quadrilateral spaces. That's the no man's land. Yeah, right? Then it should be around that space. If you see a little cross section, it might be a little down from the actual center. The right in this cross section right here, right to the center. Okay, so if that's the anatomy of the nipple, let's talk about the physiology of the nipple. Let's talk about the physiology of the nipple now. Okay, what's the physiology of the nipple? These, let's just say these are um mammary glands. Okay, let's just say those are the mammary glands. What's wrong with it? If it's gotta go through the hole in the nipple, right there. There's a little small hole right there for the lactiferous duct to go in. Okay, so that's just basically the physiology of the nipple, but we've got to go through other things to the nipple actually. Right here, that this is just the nipple, but it's made of the epidermis and epidermis. That's actually a really creepy thing about the nipple. Okay, what about the skin comparison? What about the skin comparison? Let's see. Let's say this is actually in normal. What about the skin comparison? Let's see. Let's say this is actually in normal skin. What about this? That's the nipple. That you can see that this is a lactiferous. You can see it's an actual lactiferous duct right there. Okay, that's actually a lactiferous duct there. What's the difference actually? There's a dermis in there, and it actually has an hypodermis. The hypodermis in the breast is actually the thick spot. It's not part of the nipple, but it's actually another part. It's called the adipose tissue of the breast. Okay, let's say that's the epidermis. It's the dermis. Hypodermis. How about this? How about this one? That's the epidermis. Okay, the epidermis, and what's this? The dermis. Okay, so let's just say that's the skin comparison. Dry cough now. Ah, okay, that's skin comparison. Right now. Let's do a recap of these three. What's the anatomy of the nipple? A little downwards to the center actually, and where is there a hole for the lactiferous duct to go through? And what is it also? It can be also the no man's land of the four quadrilateral spaces. What's the physiology of the nipple? Let's say that the mammary glands go through it, so the milk can actually go to the baby. Okay, how about the skin comparison? It actually only has an epidermis and dermis, but meanwhile, normal skin has epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Really weird, right? If we just talk about that, then let's talk about these. These now. These actually. But what should we talk about first? Let's still talk about the anatomy of the nipple. Right here, the layer comparison. So let me just write my markers for this part. Okay. Hello. And black. Purple. And then, yeah, that's there. That's the scene right there. Let's see who's gonna go to these map movies right here. So that's just the layers of the skin. Mostly. What are the layers of the skin anyway, if we just actually talk about this? Let's look at that. Well, wait a minute. Hold on there. Oh, so what's happened to this pink guy? Patrick! What's wrong with you? Okay, so our first color is brown. What's color coding that? Should be the stratum, corneum. What is the stratum corneum, anyways? If you haven't seen any of my videos yet, or maybe this is the first time, what is the stratum corneum? Mostly in the stratum corneum, actually, mostly the cells are dead. The death scale is actually really high. Almost 100%, somewhere like 80. So going up the lead on that one. About that, what's the stratum corneum? You can see that brown glow up there. That's the stratum corneum. Okay, that's also where pores meet their fates. Okay, that's also where pores are. What's this thin yellow layer right here? I don't know. What is it? Just joking. Its name is the stratum lucidum. That's the stratum lucidum, okay? What's the stratum lucidum? Actually, somewhere to be 60% dead cells. And there's one thing about this. It's really weird. That it only appears in thick skin. Large, thick skin. Okay? So that's it about the stratum lucidum. What's next? Okay. Black marker. Black marker number one. Okay, stratum. Hold on there. Yep. Still going in there. Stratum granulosum. Stratum granulosum it is. Over somewhere like 40% dead cells. Okay? How about this next layer? What's that called? What's that weirdo doing there? His name is stratum spinosum. Stratum spinosum. Yeah, over somewhere like 20% of cells are dead. Okay. How about stratum basal? That's the next layer we're going to talk about today. Ooh. Oh, that's sweet child of mine. Stratum basal. Stratum basal. Over somewhere like 10% of cells are dead because uh these are where the squamous cells are welcome to the world. Okay, that's just where they're mainly found. Okay, that's the stratum basal. Basal. Then what's this other part right here? Its name is the basement membrane. Basement membrane. It's just the layer that separates the epidermis and dermis together. What's this next layer right here? That's the papillary layer. Okay, that's just the layer that goes up actually out around it's looping around the epidermis. What about the outer part right here? Texas accent. The reticular dermis. It's the reticular dermis actually. I'm blowing, is it? What's this last part? That's the hypodermis. That's the hypodermis actually. If you think about it, the hypodermis is actually just fat, and the dermis is actually connective tissue, and the epidermis is mainly dead cells and skin cells. It's just mainly the epidermis doesn't actually have any arteries, and so a cut from the epidermis does not leak any blood. But if the dermis doesn't leak any blood, but hypodermis, you're done. That's really big vessels right there. But you're not going to lose all of your blood. Okay, I'll be right back there. We are done about the layers of the skin. Let's talk about the layers of the nipple. Okay, we're back on here. Let's talk about the layers of the nipple, as I said earlier. Okay, first part is actually just the epidermis. Mainly, epidermis actually, well, stratum corneum and a stratum basal. Well, mainly, that's actually really weird. Well, what's the nipple's next layer? That would be the epidermis, sir. Sushima. This is just a really big difference between skin and the nipple. Only something like three three layers actually. Three layers appearing on the nipple. Wow. Let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About nine actually. Nine of these layers actually make up skin and make it a better place. We're done talking about the anatomy of the nipple. Oops. Let me just remake that. There's a cat on my ceiling! That scared me. Yeesh. Okay, so we're done talking about the anatomy of the nipple. Let's talk about the nipple conditions. What are the conditions of the nipple mainly? Well, let's talk about that. First one is actually going to appear in breast cancer. That would be nipple discharge. Well, it mainly actually appear on, uh, actually mainly appear somewhere in the. It may actually mainly appear on invasive ductal carcinoma. Actually, we'll do that. What actually happens during that? Let's say that there's a tumor. Oops, wrong marker. There's just a tumor growing out there, and then it spreads, breaks past the basement membrane of the mammary glands, makes everywhere. So it lifts some blood vessels, which makes it to do discharge. Okay, what is this called actually? Bloody nipple discharge. So let's call that out. Bloody nipple discharge. Bloody nipple discharge. Okay, that's just a joke about the B&D thing, that bloody nipple discharge. You see, bloody nipple discharge usually happens in invasive ductal carcinoma. And you see here, it's actually really low chance that can happen. That's one of the findings that you have breast cancer. Okay, one. Mostly that people think it's actually breast mass, but no, breast but also has breast cancer like nipple discharge and more on spot. So that's nipple discharge, right? What about this other one? What's this called anyways? That's your nipple. retraction. Nipple retraction. That's nipple retraction. What actually happens in nipple retraction? What actually happens in nipple retraction? Nipple retraction. These are called Cooper's ligaments. What are they called again? Cooper's ligaments. Let's try that out. Ugh. What does keep happening to me? Ah, nuts. Cooper's ligaments. Cooper's ligaments out there. Just say that's the Cooper's ligaments. Okay, what do they do? These tumors sometimes actually grow on them, and then hey, they pull these ligaments up, which causes the which sometimes causes the nipple to retract or the skin to retract. That's another side to know if you have breast cancer or not. So that's another side, right? What's about the last one? This is a type of cancer. What's this? This is Paget's. It's really scary. Really scary. It's a type of breast cancer, but it's also really weird. Wait a minute. What's this called? That is Paget's. Paget's disease. What's Paget's disease? Say you've got a growing tumor on the duct, and it won't invade anything, but will invade a different part. It will go upward, walk a really long line of pain, and then until they reach the nipple, it causes a swollen, itchy, bumpy, red nipple. What's come on? What is this? What is this condition called? Nipple eczema. What? Nipple eczema, right? So that's nipple. What? Yes. That's nipple eczema. Okay. So also, Ollie's the cat on the roof. Come on. Okay, nipple eczema. By the way, so this is another type of thing that maybe shows that you actually have pageants. What's the anatomy of the areola, anyways? The areola is just located down. That's called the areola. It's just located around the nipple. So this with the nipple, this without the nipple, right there. This areola is just protecting around the nipple. That's just the physiology of the areola. But here, there are actually glands inside the areola. What is that? What are those glands called? They're called areolar glands. Wait a minute. Areolar glands. What do they even do? That's the physiology. They make this lubricating liquid that covers the uh, areola, which protects it when the baby is suckling into the nipple. Okay, might have been a really huge party for all these parts. It's the layers of the nipple, layers of the skin, layer, which is the layer comparison, which is the skin comparison, physiology of the nipple, anatomy of the nipple, nipple conditions, layers of the skin, anatomy of the areola. So if you're down to all that, let's do just a little recap. What's the layers of the skin? Stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, stratum basalis, basement membrane, papillary layer, reticular, and hypodermis. Okay? How about there's the nipple, stratum corneum, stratum basal, and the dermis. That's all of them right now. What is nipple discharge? Bloody nipple discharge is when blood comes out of the nipple. How about nipple retraction? Retraction of the skin off the breast or maybe the nipple because that's what is written over there. How about the pageants? Which creates a nipple eczema around it. Okay. And how about the anatomy of the areola? It it is around the nipple uh and it actually just protects the nipple around. And what are these glands called? Areolar glands. Those are areolar glands. You can see there. They're pretty nice. They uh protect the areola too from the baby suckling the nipple. Okay. If we're done from whiteboard one, let's now talk about here. So let's just move to the next whiteboard and say what we actually have to say in this thing right there. Okay? See. Okay, let's talk about the anatomy of the mammary glands next. Where's the located in Reese? Let's just see a cross section of breast right here. The mammary glands are just somewhere around up the nipple actually. Um Around here. The upper lower um maybe the upper lower and the lower outer upper lower what wait a minute, sorry, excuse me. Upper outer, lower outer, upper inner, lower inner sections. That's gonna do 15 divided by 2. I mean 4. That should be actually just, you know, decimals. Let's just do, what to do. 4. That's gotta be 3. 12. What's 15 times 15 minus 12? That's gotta be 3. So about 3 in each glands. That's 4 plus 1 is actually 5. So it's just a mathematical equation around there. Okay, so that's just in the mammary glands. Okay, mammary glands, there are about 15 to 20. So maybe something like 5 or 5 mammary glands in each uh, uh, quadrant and outside the no man's land. Okay, about that. So just around the fatty adipose tissue. That's just where the mammary glands is just going to sit in. Okay, so now let's talk about the physiology of the mammary glands. Wait a minute, I'll be back. Okay, now let's talk about the function of the mammary glands or physiology. What's the function, anyways? Let's just say this mammary gland was the. Let's just say this the lobule. Okay, let's just discuss how these things turn out like that. Lobule, and then the cells squeeze to turn out to liquid. This liquid right here. Let's say this is just inside of a mammary cell, and then the vesicle. It's out its um, components inside its contents actually. So let's just say that actually happens. What these things mix to be is actually proteins and the bacteria and and some and some actually liquid components, etc., etc., which these turn out to be breast milk. Okay, these components now actually turn into breast milk. Okay, let's just do a recap of these. What's the anatomy of the mammary glands? Five mammary glands in each uh, quadrant, and sitting around the adipose tissue, and then it is just here in the lobule. The milk does this. It's the lobule squeezes, and the milk is out because of the vesicles popping open. That can actually happen because the cytoplasm is actually liquid. Okay. Now let's talk about the lactating translated in hormones. Okay. Okay. Let's say this is pituitary gland. Okay, and this is the hypothalamus. It's hypothalamus. Okay. Here, the pituitary gland gives the hypothalamus some PIH. Now it's actually on right now. So the hypothalamus sends the breast some um, oxytocin. Okay, this oxytocin now. Now, someday or some later, it will turn off, and what will happen? It will send now prolactin, and then it will actually just go to the breast by blood vessels. Blood vessels. Okay, so that just happens, right? How about estrogen? So you see here, controlled by the hypothalamus. But here, it will come to the breast. No, not the breast. Actually, here in the ovaries. These ovaries then send a hormone called estrogen and sends it to any part of the body to strengthen. For example, the breast, maybe itself for egg reproduction. You know. Okay, let's talk about targets of estrogen. What are the targets of estrogen mainly? Well, first is itself, the ovaries. Why? Well, it actually just develops in for egg maturation, and then the uterus. Also, after the uterus is the also the genitalia or the genitals, and right here are the breasts, etc. Okay, so that's just estrogen mainly. What are the functions of estrogen in these? Let's just talk about a little neurology right here. So what's this? The parietal lobe, frontal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, cerebellum, hindbrain, midbrain, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, all this happens to be here in the brain. Okay, why is it actually concerning in the ovaries? Because as it's right here, uh, egg maturation, Or egg? What's the egg? That's the ovum. About that, and also the release, egg release, preparation of uterine development, genital develop, development. I mean, um, preparing for pregnancy. See, and also genital development, maintenance of sexual traits, after that is growth and development. Okay, well, that's just the functions of estrogen. Now what are the targets of progesterone? They are also released by the ovaries, the ovarian arteries and veins, like estrogen. So what are its targets anyways? They are they also, you know, stimulates. Oh, about that right here. There's an X-ray here in the functions of estrogen, etc. Stimulates breast development. Here in the progesterone, and also prepares uterine layers, like estrogen does. So they're just basically same, just basically actually. How about the functions of progesterone? That stimulates breast development as action functions. What are the targets of progesterone action? Breast development right here, and then prepares uterine layers right here. What are the targets of progesterone? The uterus and the breasts. Okay, so we've just talked about that. No recap now because we have actually just understood it. Wait a minute, I'll be back. Okay, how does estrogen develop breast cancer? Like here in the ovaries, it releases uh it releases the hormone estrogen. Okay, just releases it out. Then what does it do? Comes to into cellular receptors and in the breast, and then goes here in extracellular receptors and then the intracellular receptors, which causes it to bind with such genes, which causes cycle cycle dependent kinases. Cycle dependent kinases. Okay. Well, this gene actually causes the risk of breast cancer. So it actually just makes uh, the risk of breast cancer. Okay, let me just tell something. Number one, you're actually just going to uh, realize you should actually memorize all the anatomy. It's actually in the mammary glands uh, and all these hormones, because these are very important to know what is actually happening in your mammary glands, and also the breast cancer issues. You should actually know these facts. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you actually just really enjoyed this video. I hope it made sense to you. I hope this actually just helped you. Maybe in lessons or maybe in tests, everything. So, or maybe your friends was trying to dare you to answer that question, that one question tomorrow. So, by the way, I hope you really enjoyed this video. See you next time, next week.